Zepto has less than 1,200 dark stores in 66 cities. The narrative in the IPO is that we're going to use this money and build a lot more dark stores. We want to saturate every urban neighborhood. Wherever there's density of population, their effective serviceable area keeps shrinking as we have more and more of these nodes. And therefore, things get more efficient. We can deliver a lot faster and pay a lot less for each delivery because the distance that is being covered is less. And the turnaround time, like the same delivery person can do multiple deliveries if the
Mm.
travel time is shorter. That's the whole premise, that we have a wonderful business model. And again, the same thing that Reliance did, with Jio, that here we are doing this capex, and then we're going to sweat the assets, and we're going to hit that break-even point, and then operational leverage will kick in, and then you're just going to see a hockey stick of profit. That is a classic heavy capex upfront story.
Hello and welcome back to Hype Cycles, the tech and business news podcast where Nitesh does all the thinking and I do most of the banal and sort of pointless talking. Nitesh, what's been up? How's
I've been
Bangalore?
outsourcing the thinking to AI, so I genuinely don't know what I'm doing here.
That is so ironic. Or is it ironic? I don't know. I can never tell anyone. I can never tell anyone. I just booked very expensive concert tickets in Bangalore. Foo Fighters.
Oh, nice. When are they performing?
29 Jan 2027. And yeah, that is a big expense. Concerts are getting very, very expensive. I think actually that's the only reason people are coming to India, right?
For concerts? Yeah, it's a big part of foreign tourist inflows.
No,
So,
as in they're coming to India for concerts because they know that their aging fans now have disposable money.
oh, you're talking about the performers, right? I
Yeah.
thought you were being sarcastic. The performers,
Uh-huh.
yeah, most of them do these sunset tours, right? And I I don't hold it against them. It's exhausting work. If you can
Yeah.
still do it in your 60s, go for it, man. You've given a lot of people happy memories. I think you deserve to coast. And some
Yeah,
of
I
these
went for
guys,
Def Leppard earlier this year. It was fantastic. So much fun.
yeah, they don't coast. They're not just showing up half drunk. No, they really put their back into it, which I admire,
Yeah.
because clearly they're not doing it for the money anymore. I should think so if they have even halfway decent financial advisors. So it's
I,
clearly
I,
the
I don't think anyone ever decides or feels that they have enough money. It is a number to them, nothing more. But
how, but
I think something happens when you make a lot of money that you decide that I need a lot more of it.
no, but of course I get the premise, but touring is exhausting from everything I've read and seen. It is just, it depletes you, even no matter how many special clauses you have in your contracts about M&Ms and such, it
Hmm?
still depletes you.
Or
So
the
it's
orange M&M. Huh?
it's a
You
choice,
should. If I
So
remember, I will put that in the show notes. The Van Halen orange M&M's story. I don't know
it's
why they quoted so much, including in B schools. It's like that, that airline that removed two olives from servings and saved $340,000. And people in these schools are taught, oh, such genius, such genius. Dekho, see where you can pull savings from. And now we're at that stage कि हाँ वो सब निकाल दो क्यों देना है ऐसा बढ़ाते रहो कुछ भी क्यों दे
Air India is doing a pilot. They're making meals optional on
हाँ
some
हाँ एयर
sectors.
इंडिया पायलट हाँ हाँ सॉरी
I knew what I was doing, but yeah, they're rolling back selectively for some sectors for a limited amount of time. It's a pilot where they're seeing if there's appetite for non full service, which is basically LCC, but yeah, non full service
दैट
service.
इज अ टेरिबल प्रेसिडेंट
It's inevitable. No? How
व्हाई
many full service airlines are profitable without generous state backing? Not that many. They're usually the flag carriers who are doing a lot more than just running the airline. So, उनका चलता है.
एंड
So,
आल्सो या दे कैन बिकॉज़ कंपटीशन तो है
हाँ, correct. So, ठीक है. Let's see. I am disappointed that the crash report hasn't come out. Usually, it's not set in stone, but there's like a 1 year mark before which generally crash reports are at least the preliminary findings are put out of, here are the sequences of events that led up to the crash itself. Here are the possible reasons that we think, or in some cases this is definitely what happened, and we were able to reconstruct it, and here's how it went. That 12-month deadline just passed this week and there's no report yet. There is still mudslinging happening between the pilots union and Tata and Boeing and everybody. It's really unfortunate, for the families of the victims. Like, I- it sounds like the predictable thing to say, I know, but they deserve closure. And like what happened, they lost people of their family. And sorry to start on such a somber note, but I think they deserve closure, one way or another. Like if it was pilot error, say that. If it was equipment malfunction, say that. If you don't know, say that. Say something.
No comments. No comments at all.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot
will.
of
I fully trust what Boeing will say. I fully trust it. Boeing is the most trustworthy company in the world. I
yeah.
will
So
go with what they say.
there are a lot of powerful forces pulling in different directions. So pata nahi where this will head.
बोइंग जो बोलेगा मैं मानेगा जो बोइंग बोइंग बेस्ट ऑनेस्ट ट्रस्टवर्दी अमेजिंग
Yeah, whatever.
वो कभी झूठ क्यों बोलेंगे यार वो नहीं बोलेंगे वो झूठ नहीं बोल सकते भरोसा है मुझे उन पे
Okay.
भाई राफी
No, nothing. Just how we would mention Elon Musk every once in a while. I think our we'll take a shot every time we need says corporate's bad should be a thing.
वो मैन you will be very drunk I will be very drunk I will get the whole world drunk let's get to your story I am very excited about this I don't know why but I am
Yeah, I am too. It is not a story. It's a larger trend that many people have noticed because it's so fucking obvious. But before I start, lots of listed companies here, lots of soon to be listed companies here. None of this is investing advice. Please read your own red herring prospectuses, prospecti of 600 pages each. And sometimes they come with cool rocket ship pictures. So that you have that to look forward to. Either way, buy, don't buy, it's your call, not ours. All right.
I have one question philosophical on this point
Uh-huh.
does the prospectus even matter because people can say whatever they want and be honest about it also right कि our business is terrible. We don't foresee making any money in the future. Is my voice clear? By the way?
Yeah. You are perfectly audible. That's what I love so much about S1s or red herring prospectuses. That's a mouthful. Uh, DRHPs is that they have to balance both things. Like I said when we did the guest episode with Jaidev, that this is the first time a founder is telling the world at large, come here, see what I built. So there is that optimism. That's one pulling force. And the other is this is a legal document. So your lawyers are going to make you cover your ass from every possible angle. So in risk factors, which is usually the most entertaining part of any RHP, they actually have to list out all the ways they can think of that this can go horribly wrong. Uh, one of the risk factors could be our rock star promoter might die. So that's a risk factor. We all know it's a possibility, but we're just putting it out there. How much of
No,
our
my question is, does it make a difference to people's investing behavior at all? If people can just come out and say, यार बहुत risk है, कोई फायदा नहीं है, अभी पैसा नहीं बनेगा, and people are still like, yay, I want in, I want in, I want in.
uh-huh, interesting.
Or it could be
Does
a
it
very sensible business.
is it
Yes,
actually an
I know.
input in the decision making process
Yes.
of
Yes.
investors? Uh, Indirectly, retail investors, I hardly know any who actually read the whole thing. They Most people read the reporting about the RHP. So everybody's relying on somebody else to do the reading, who is probably relying on an LLM to do the reading. But that's a story for another day. Uh, I think it matters because at the drafting stage, the RSPs are refined and clauses added and removed, and the valuation tussle happening with input from institutional investors. Right. So at that stage, the finished document itself, once it is out, probably does not change things much, unless it uncovers that, oh yeah, and we have like Yahoo did, we have a bunch of Alibaba shares in our uh, as part of our assets, something like that, an unexpected good surprise, or what happened with WeWork, an unexpected bad surprise, that the narrative and the numbers are completely different. But those are really rare tail events. For the most part, I think by then most people broadly know what the company is about and what their numbers are, especially because companies are staying private so much longer and getting so much bigger before they actually tap public markets, that so much information is already out there about them. So I think that if you look at it from the perspective of that larger trend of, companies are just coming later to market, maybe ISPs are not as relevant as they used to be. I will still die on the hill that they are absolutely essential and should be a part of the process for smaller companies. Because sometimes that's you meeting the company for the first time you're hearing about them, first time you're seeing what kind of business they're in, especially if it's not a consumer business. Some I found some pretty phenomenal companies doing amazing work where you're thinking they're doing this in India, really? And they're like the kings of their little corner of the market. And I love discovering companies like that. So in that context, RSPs matter for large companies who have probably gotten large on the back of multiple rounds of PE funding nowadays. Maybe not so relevant. For smaller
Fair.
companies, definitely. Ironically, my story today is mm, four companies that have either just listed or are going to get listed. And whether it's part of, okay, we'll get to that. I will not
Let's go. Let's
give
go. Let's
away,
go.
give
I'm
away.
very excited.
Yeah.
Let's begin.
So, yeah, the first and most obvious example is SpaceX. I'll just name the four companies first. So, you know what you're getting into. This is going to be just me let off the leash. SpaceX, the first one I want to talk about. NSE, the National Stock Exchange, second one. Jio Platforms is the third one. And finally, Zepto, the fourth one. All different companies, different industries, different countries, different market caps, but they're all either coming to market or have come to market in like the last 15 days, or they've announced their intent to finally come to market in the last 15 days. Each one is a unique story. The SpaceX one has been done to death, but I still wanted to keep it there for context, because that's the largest IPO that's ever happened until now. So the numbers, at least, that's all I've kept here. I have a nice table and everything. The numbers of, how it contrasts with the jumbo IPOs that are happening in India now. So
Yeah.
let's go. Anything you want to add before
No.
you let me
Let's
off
go.
my lead? All right. First and foremost, the most recent one, which came as a surprise, which was announced yesterday during Reliance's AGM. So Mukesh Ambani had promised a year and a half back that by June 2026, Jio Platforms we will initiate the process of listing it. Now, when the news first came out, way back when, the speculation was that large investors who are part of the cap table, Jio Platforms has investors like Meta, Google, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, and they have like good stakes. They put in large sums of money. So the first time that a possible spin-off or listing was floated by Mr. Ambani, the speculation was that he is under pressure from one of these guys or maybe somebody else on the cap table, that we want out or we want some liquidity, because the investments were made on the back of the COVID boom, when which seems like such a simpler time now, when everybody thought that everything is going to go to the moon and we're going to stay at home and therefore data will be like indispensable, and in hindsight it turned out to be. And the return on investment for these big guys who made big investments and has been pretty decent. So, no shade on them. But that was the narrative that was spun in financial media, that possibly, maybe, uh, one of these big guys wants out or they want some liquidity, because they've been stuck for such a long time, and Reliance's share price has not done that great. once it crested the post-COVID boom. It's been sort of range bound, if I can say that. Again, we're discussing stocks. Please don't take any of this as investing advice. Some of these companies, I'm sure beneath you own, I own, either directly or indirectly, whatever. Just putting that out there. Uh, there's the AGM happened yesterday, and among many other things that Mr. Ambani has to signal, including succession is going to be smooth. Reliance will always be one, even though he's actually talking about spinning them off. And if this goes well, I'm sure the others will too, if there is a proper value unlocking that happens. The announcement was that yes, Jio Platforms listing is happening. We are going to go ahead with that within the committed timeline. So he announced it before the end of June, right? However, it is not an offer for sale. It's completely a fresh issue. So all the money that's going to be raised from the IPO should be in the range of about $4 billion, is going to go entirely to the company to retire debt of the massive debt that it has taken on to build its infrastructure. So Geo Platforms is basically the mobile internet, the cell connectivity part of the business. Because now they brand everything as Geo, so that's a little confusing. But this is the actual telecom business that they're
It's just
spinning.
funny that like the term platforms. I personally have never associated platforms with utilities and infrastructure. Platform is more like we are a marketplace, we are a buyer
Marketplace.
and seller,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
This is a utility. It's a telecom company.
yeah.
How is it a platform?
See, deep down, in their heart of hearts, everybody wants to be an everything app.
Hmm.
Okay. So I think this is that unexpressed desire, calling it geo
Right.
platforms. The criticism people had of SpaceX is that Musk has released such a small part of the company's shares publicly. Like this is a well-known scam, right? Beneath, if I set up a company and I own the company completely free and clear, and I issue 1 million shares of the company and I hold all million of them, the company does nothing. It's worthless, right? However, if I convince you, Vineet, to buy one of those shares for $100, then I'm a billionaire. That's the Forbes math that all these guys do,
Yeah.
right? And what Musk has done with SpaceX is that he has released such a small part of the total free float of what is called the free float. There's the 100% of the shares of the company exist, and we're just going to put out a really small part of that into the market and use that price to multiply the remaining 95, 97.5% of the shares to show how big the company is and how I'm a trillionaire and etc. etc. But actually, a very small portion of the shares are actually in the public market, and even those, all of those are not getting traded every day, right? There will be buy
And
and
this
hold
is
investors even here.
such a common trope, right? Like on Twitter,
Mhm.
people love defending billionaires. I don't know why, but it's a thing. People feel that they have to defend billionaires. And this is not just with Musk, with so many people, and especially with Musk now.
Mhm.
Look, the man's genius and whatnot has made him the first trillionaire, right? He's a
Yeah,
trillionaire. He's the richest man. He has so much wealth. He has so much money. Like, oh, so pay some taxes. Oh, but he obviously doesn't have any money, right? This is just all, stock. He doesn't actually have any money. How can he pay taxes? How do
right.
you want him to pay
Yeah,
taxes on anything? He will be bankrupt if you ask him to actually spend money. Why pick one?
yeah. You can't have it both ways.
I mean,
So,
the trillionaire has it both ways because he will take loans against that paperware. So he will have it both ways, but
yeah,
everybody else can't.
and get to write off the interest that he pays on those loans. But anyway, story for another day. So, SpaceX ka public float, out of the 100% of shares that exist of the company, just 4.2% are currently in public markets. Okay. And ironically, this was one of the big criticisms that the Hindenburg report had about the Adani group of companies. So interestingly, this is a place where India is ahead of the curve, okay, in terms of regulation. In India, listed companies, the promoters cannot own more than 75%. They cannot. 25% of it has to be in the public domain. And if it is not, then they have no option but to buy back the rest and take the company private. They cannot be traded on the exchanges. They cannot be a listed company anymore. That 75% threshold is a hard limit. But
So
of
that is
course,
the float, right? When people say the float is tiny, the float is the amount that is being issued to the public, right? Am I correct?
yeah. So free float is how much of those shares are actually in the market. No? But like uh, take any of these companies. The money zone shade under 50% of Reliance. Those shares aren't trading in the market every day, right? So you can't
Yeah.
count those in the free float. And that's one of the reasons why the S&P 500 said we will not include SpaceX in our indices just yet, which should have been an episode all by itself that we should have done of the financial mechanics behind the con that Musk has pulled off with SpaceX. Forced
How
index
dare
inclusion.
you say that about my trillionaire?
First
Go on.
index inclusion and more than 50% passive investors means that automatically so much money is going to flow eventually to SpaceX. And right now the euphoria is around, okay, yeah, there is demand coming down the line. So, we're not just going to be bag holders. We have an ultimate bag holder down the line, which is the passive funds, which is the mom and pop investors indirectly. But anyways, where was I? Yeah. So India has these strict thresholds for listed companies. If your market cap is up to 1,600 crores, you have to, from the get go, you have to put 25% of your shares out into the market. You cannot own them as a promoter. Then they have a slab from 1,600 to 4,000 crores. The minimum public float should be worth at least 400 crores. From 4,000 to 50,000 crores, you have to start at 10% initially, and gradually within 3 years, it has to reach 25%. Over 50,000 crores, you must offer at least 15,000 crores or 1% equity. Again, there is a glide path. You have to get to 25% in a stipulated amount of time. The reason Jio Platforms was held up was because they were waiting for regulation on what happens to an even larger set of companies, which are even above that 50,000 crore threshold. So now they have got permission. Wait, I need to
Hmm.
get this right. Uh, for now, for right now, they can float just 2.5%, which is even less than SpaceX for now. The rest will come eventually. They have to eventually get to 25%. But for now, they can start with
Wait,
2.5%. So
how?
you're going to see.
That's a huge gap. If the intent is 25 and they can start at 2.5.
But the argument, I think it's sensible. The argument is that if you dump too many shares into the market at once, there isn't that much depth. So you will unnecessarily depress prices. This is more of a sustained release, and it makes sense for because uh, Indian markets of buy and hold investing are still very shallow. You have a lot of trading activity around derivatives and stocks themselves, but actual buy and hold investing is not that deep yet.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense. It's a sensible middle path. You know, you don't want to let a promoter get away with listing this 100 or 1,000 shares, and calling himself a trillionaire or whatever. But you also don't want to, uh, you know, cause unintended second and third order effects of the price. So I think it's sensible. On balance, it's the right way to cross this particular problem. Of you have time, you have to get to 25. That is our north star, but we'll give you time for it. Makes sense. It's really sensible, especially sticking to that 25% in spirit is sensible. So back to
And you
Hindenburg.
have like, what's the broad time period to get to 25?
Uh, 3 years, 3 to 5 years, I think they were given.
Yeah,
Depends
that's
on
not.
the market cap. 3 to 5 years. I'm quoting from memory, but in that range. Makes sense. So gradually, Google, Meta, ADI, whoever wanted uh, exit or wanted liquidity for some of their shares so that they could price the rest accurately. There you have it. Good, sensible middle path.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this isn't, or it doesn't appear to be making an exemption for our cronies. It doesn't appear to be that. It is just there's no outright good fair way to do this. So this is a good balance overall of how to do it. Because with very large companies, it distorts things distort very quickly in the stock market. If you do too much at once, buy back too much or release too much, price distortions happen, and they can have unnecessary, unintended long-term effects. You don't want that. So this makes sense. And they're using it to retire debt, which is great. Which reminds me again back to SpaceX. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place today. SpaceX just raised a shit ton of money, and like they had mentioned in their RHP, in their S1, they use that money to buy out Cursor. They had that option and they exercised the option. So 60 billion straight away they issued new shares to Cursor. So all the people who bought SpaceX shares just got diluted by a small amount compared to the market cap, but just got diluted because 60 billion के extra shares issue हुआ है now to Cursor owners. They did a share swap, and SpaceX is actively considering doing a $20 billion debt issue right now, a week after their IPO. Like, we need more funds, and this time from the debt market, because they have a listed company now that they can point to and say, हाँ हमारे पास तो बहुत है, collateral है. See how much we are worth. Just every single criticism that Hindenburg had of Adani, Musk is doing out in the open.
Well, Hindenburg doesn't exist anymore.
Maybe they're just prescient, or maybe Elon was waiting for Hindenburg to shut shop before he
Exactly.
I don't know which comes first. So that was Jio Platforms. Unexpected that they're doing a fresh issue, but interesting times. It's sooner or later it's going to be up for index inclusion as well, and it's a robust business. However they built it, however they got here. For now, it's a robust business. Would you like some numbers? I have them here. Just a second. Yeah, they have 526.9 million subscribers. Jio. Revenue from operations rose 14.6% year on year to 1,46,885 crores, and profit climbed to 30,000 crores. Yeah. So they did the build out, and that leverage is coming into play now. So for every incremental rupee of revenue that they get, most of it now flows to the bottom line, which is the classic large capex play. You reach a certain threshold, and above that, every penny you make is yours. So they're there, and they did it with a mix of debt and equity, and now they're using more equity to retire some of the debt. Makes sense. Totally makes sense. On to our next company.
Yeah.
The next company is NSE, the National Stock Exchange, which has been trying to go public for a decade now. So I know of people who bought unlisted shares of NSE and have been waiting for this day for years. Not the whole decade. Most of private share buying happened in post-COVID, in the last 2 or 3 years because of the
Remind me,
eye-popping event.
NSE is where that book came out, right? With the revelations about the Swami, where
Yeah,
all the business gyan was
the
coming from.
the co-location scam and all of that. Like NSE, the NSE listing has usually attracted such spectacular bad luck that I'm almost worried for this week. I'm waiting for bated breath. I want the issue to go through. I'm not planning to apply or anything, or I might, I don't know. But for Panotti's sake, I hope the issue goes through this
Huh.
time.
Will they list on NSE or will they list on BSE or both?
Both, both.
Both.
Yeah. So that's what the business itself is brilliant. It's great, right? IEX episode. That's what we said. It's a great place to be an exchange because it doesn't matter the market is going up or down. All you're charging a toll any which way, right? And NSE options are like far and away the more popular uh, way that most people place bets or do speculation. And writing options is very, very profitable. Issuing options is very, very profitable for exchanges. And just the amount of options activity that happens in India, it's a great business to be in. And even though NSE came late, BSE was like the godfather of the industry, right? NSE came in afterwards, but still they've just blown everybody away out of the market because of how tech savvy they were and how quickly they adapted. And despite all the scams and all the bumbling and everything that has happened, it's a phenomenal business. And that one is not surprisingly is 100% offer for sale. The NSE does not need any capital. They're swimming in it. So this is just a way for existing shareholders to exit. The largest private shareholder is Radhakishan Damani, which makes sense. He's been an active market participant for a long time. Makes sense that he would be on the board, or not on the board, but like on the cap table. Makes sense that he would hold on to the shares. He's not selling any in the issue, but his NSE stake alone should be in the neighborhood of $1 billion soon. That's over and above what he is personally worth and his shareholding in DMart and all of that. Just NSE should exceed or be in the neighborhood of 8,000-9,000. I mean, it depends on the price at which it lists, but even at the offer price, it's around 8,000 crores roughly. So again, one of the most essential building blocks of financial infrastructure in India, and they have a license to print money
Hmm.
because of how active Indian retail traders are. Because whether it's Jane Street robbing a retail trader, whether it's you who is worried about your large software positions and SaaS apocalypse is coming, let me buy some puts or let me just dump my stock. Whatever you're doing, every single time the exchange makes money. So great business really. Yeah. And this is not a stock recommendation, but just generally the industry is only going to grow. So they have a lot going for them. And I've been hearing these, and I probably agree with them, these lovely praises of the company for 10 years now. कि हाँ बस आ रहा है बस इस बार तो NSE का IPO आ रहा है. And they finally put out the RSP. So hopefully अभी आ ही जाएगा. Let's see.
Great. Good luck with it.
In a parallel universe, maybe the war stopped, so the NSE could list. Never know. Oh wait, I shouldn't say stop. Paused.
Was it?
We are in the free trial period, right?
यार वो भी है क्या? बट ये तो है कि ईरान has asked everyone to register.
हाँ.
All ships passing through must register 48 hours in advance. तो वो
फास्टैग
तो
तो
है.
स्कैन हो गया ही. फिलहाल देयर आर नो
हाँ.
डिडक्शंस.
अपना पहले ईमेल वेरीफाई कराओ तब तक.
हाँ.
कुकी सेटिंग्स एक्सेप्ट करो. नोटिफिकेशन एक्सेप्ट करो. साइन अप फॉर आवर न्यूज़लेटर. वो सब करो. वो जरूरी है.
दे आर कंप्लीटिंग
क्रेडिट
द
कार्ड
ऑनबोर्डिंग.
क्रेडिट कार्ड इन्फॉर्मेशन डालो. क्रेडिट कार्ड इन्फॉर्मेशन डालो.
हाँ वही दे आर कंप्लीटिंग द ऑनबोर्डिंग नाउ ताकि
हम्म.
आगे इट इज सीमलेस. What a shit show.
द
क्या ही
शेप
करें.
टूर.
Yeah, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. If I just waited, the terms of the agreement would be better. I capitulated, and then Trump capitulated, and it was just one domino after the other. But I was the first one.
इसका भी कोई यूएलए नहीं पढ़ने वाला. So don't worry. I don't think even Trump has read it. He's saying no money will flow to Iran. Iran is saying $300 billion.
हाँ. No, so Trump clarified, right? We are not giving them any new money. ये तो उनका ही पैसा है, तो हमारे पास पड़ा है, जो हम उनको भी देंगे. But वो उनका ही है.
$330 billion नहीं है उनके पास पड़ा. That is not locked in.
अरे, don't get into the numbers, Vineet. This is a vibes-based war. Okay? And the vibes are constantly shifting. So don't
I
get
think
into the
Iran
numbers.
should IPO.
That's an RSP I would read.
Strait of Hormuz Incorporated. They should
Risk
go.
factor because 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
नहीं एक बात भी बड़ी I would also read that RHP. I would do a CFA to read that RHP.
Right. On to Zepto.
Onto the book. Yes.
So for numbers, just for context, since we're on the last company now, uh, the issue size, how much of paper is going to be put into the market. SpaceX issued $75 billion worth of stock. NSE is going to be maybe 2.5, 3.5, something in that range. Jio will be 4 to 4.5. The market cap of Jio Platforms, Vineet, will be almost equivalent to AT&T's and larger than Airtel's is what they're aiming for, which is amazing, man. This is an 8-year-old business. They launched in 2016. So it's a 9-year-old business, a 10-year-old business now. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a
it's
10
not like there was a college student who started it 8 years ago.
I know, but it's still,
Yeah, you could say technically hyped off 8 years ago, but
huh? All right, fine. I will not get into that argument. Zepto is issuing $1 billion worth of stock ish, right? Because the offer for sale is not priced in yet, so we don't know. The implied valuations, the market caps of these companies, if they list at the numbers at which they're aiming for, SpaceX listed at 1.75 trillion. It's since crossed to 2.5. I don't know. I don't even know. NSE should be at a $60 billion valuation. Geo platforms will be maybe around the 150, 160 billion mark, which AT&T took 100 years plus to get there. And so many companies, so many storied companies had to come together to become AT&T. And Geo was built in the last 10 years. Irrespective of the path, and that's phenomenal. Right? It is. And I will die on that hill as well. Many hills I'm dying on today. Zepto's implied valuation should be in the 6, 7-ish billion-dollar range. Right, which brings me to the what was going to be my story for today, which is Zepto's listing. Again, I'm going to reel off some numbers because it's just such a fascinating story in the numbers. I've done some cherry picking. Yeah, Zepto has less than 1,200 dark stores in 66 cities. The story that is being the narrative in the IPO is that we're going to use this money and build a lot more dark stores. We want to saturate every urban neighborhood wherever there's density of population. Like if now you have, I'm making up these numbers, but if you have one dark store that's servicing like a 2 or 3 kilometer radius, we want then each dark store to only service like a kilometer radius. Their effective serviceable area keeps shrinking as we have more and more of these nodes, and therefore things get more efficient. We can deliver a lot faster and pay a lot less for each delivery because the distance that is being covered is less, and the turnaround time, like the same delivery person can do multiple deliveries if the
mm,
travel time is shorter. That's the whole premise, that we have a wonderful business model. And again, the same thing that Reliance did, with Geo, that here we are doing this capex, and then we're going to sweat the assets, and we're going to hit that break-even point, and then operational leverage will kick in, and then you're just going to see a hockey stick of profit. That is a classic heavy capex upfront story, and Zepto is also operating along those lines. The numbers are mind-boggling. Revenue from operations is, for FY26, the year that this got over, was 22,624 crores. And this is just Zepto, and that's just one of the three big players.
this is GMV or this is their revenue? This is GMV, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they're calling it revenue from operations. I think it is GMV, right? They did the equivalent figure for last year was 11,000 crores. So they've gone from 11 to 22 on that base of nearly $1 billion of revenue. They've doubled it in a year. Net loss was 6,000 crores. So on 22,000 crores of GMV, they've lost 6,000 crores. And adjusted EBITDA is a loss of 5,000 crores. Blinkit generates about 37,000 crores of revenue. And again, it's a listed company, so I don't want to cast aspersions. But through the magic of accounting, their adjusted EBITDA loss was only 277 crores on revenue of 37,779 crores, a number that I personally think requires more digging, which I haven't done yet and I don't intend to. I This sector doesn't excite me, and it's just I don't understand it. Like I told you last week, all the power to Gen Z, karo. And in fact, now too, everybody is adopting quick commerce. I don't understand it enough as an investor to make a recommendation one way or another. But that number of we did 37,779 crores in sales and lost 277 crores on that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I would want to dig deeper if I could be bothered, but I won't.
That's just Blinkit, not Zomato. That is just Blinkit.
Yeah, that's Blinkit. And yeah, so from the IPO proceeds, Zepto intends to construct another 1,900 dark stores by 2030, and they're going to spend another 1,300 crores on technology and cloud infrastructure to support the tech backbone of this amazing operation of the business that they have built. Again, really cool, well done. They cracked open the business case for quick commerce. The Zepto guys cracked it open in the minds of VCs that look, this is possible. Until then, Dunzo had piloted quick commerce, and it was a punchline to a joke. Who wants delivery in 10 minutes? These guys convinced VCs that there's a business case here, and hats off to them for that. They did the first mega rounds of yeah, we are building this phenomenal business. We need lots of capital. Keep it coming. They opened their cap table wide open and said, "Come, whoever wants to hop on, come, and throw gobs of money at us, and we are going to burn through a lot of money and build this amazing business." So well done. Just as a business story, very cool, especially given how young these guys are. Uh, Maybe that's a feature. And however, the reason I picked this story as my the thing that I want to talk about is all the list of things that can go wrong, or the things that get flagged in an RSP that even today have to be disclosed. There's a bunch of them here, and they make for fun reading. Like the ED had summoned, the enforcement directorate had summoned Zepto's founders, the promoters, both of them, because of the corporate structure and how. So this was under FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Management Act, of how you are bringing in foreign capital into India, how you need to route it so that it is fully declared, fully legitimate, and in compliance with the law. So some wire was tripped somewhere, and they were actually summoned by the ED, which, to my in my memory at least, in all the what 200-300 RSPs that I've read, is a first. Either something had already happened in a past company and that gets disclosed, which is a different thing, or हमारा ये civil or criminal litigation चल रहा है because some disgruntled employee filed a case, or some death by negligence happened in a factory or something. All those things are there, but actively the act of fundraising for this company got us in trouble with the law is a first for me. I cannot think of any other example like that.
I have
The way
thoughts.
we
I have
raised
thoughts.
money. The third is that there is impending gig worker labor reform about to happen. And would that strike at the root of the business model here? Uber successfully lobbied against this worldwide, right? Beginning with the US. Okay, the drivers are not our employees, so we will not guarantee their salaries. We will not pay for their pensions and provide healthcare, etc., etc. If we choose to do it out of the goodness of our hearts, that's a separate matter. But we will not treat them as employees and do all this for them. So the gig workers act that is in the pipeline. Some states have enacted it at their own level. I don't think there's any other national level yet, but there is chatter about something coming. of how the gig workers will have to be registered, and there will be an active. Right now, it's the Wild West, so you can hire, fire. There's no record of it anywhere. That there needs to be a register of who came in, which company hired which guy for what duration, what they were paid. It needs to meet the minimum wage of that state or city. So most of these are in cities. Cities, the minimum wages are quite high, right? Compared to what these guys may be paying. Their argument is that these are not everybody is doing this full time. So, which is a weak argument, but that's what they've chosen to stand behind. Okay, it's part-time work and it's on-demand work. They do it whenever they feel like it, and so we are paying them by the order, and therefore, we cannot be on the hook for guaranteeing a minimum salary, guaranteeing minimum number of working hours every month, guaranteeing pension, EPF, ESI, all that, health, life insurance, etc., etc. Anything that an organization of this size would and should provide for its employees.
Great.
Yeah, so that's one
I
of
run a
the.
small startup. I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy to hear that. I have to account for PF, ESI, maternity leave. I'm happy
Yeah,
to do all that. These guys should also.
the final cool number that I wanted to share: Zepto's ad revenue
Hmm.
for FY26 was 1,636 crores. This is brands paying Zepto for the privilege of enhanced visibility.
Everything eventually, like हर बार discuss करते हैं, everything is eventually an advertising business.
Just the
1,000,
scale,
and that's all money. That's all free money for them.
the scale of the numbers just blows my mind. They built this business out of thin air. Amazing, truly amazing. Just think of all the things that needed to happen for Zepto or any of these quick commerce guys to get to where they are. They had to convince customers to form habits. To do that, they had to give away money for a while. To do that, they needed to convince VCs. VCs who were stuck in the Amazon massive fulfillment center paradigm to say that no, if those were if an Amazon fulfillment center is like an intercontinental ballistic missile, these dark stores are like drones. And if you have looked around, they're constantly popping up and shutting down in neighborhoods because unlike an Amazon, who once they build an FC, which is like a few million square feet, they are not going anywhere for at least 10-15 years. क्योंकि उनका पैसा लग गया है. These guys are just so fucking nimble. Demand has shifted, or the rents are too high. This doesn't make sense. Shut the store. Move on.
My question is always around the sector are two. One is I asked immediately about the GMV thing because like with the traditional retail, it used to be easier to figure कि अच्छा इनका इतना commission है, so that is their actual revenue,
Right.
net revenue, so to speak. Now, if I search for mostly on Amazon, it will say MRP 1,000 rupees and now discounted price is 300 rupees. And actually, everyone in the whole world is paying 300 rupees
Right.
for that half kg box. So, are they counting 1,000 rupees as revenue or 300 rupees as revenue, which is also the gross revenue, which is not even their take?
Correct.
So,
Which is
I
the
never
theoretical
know.
maximum that somebody could have charged for the product, but that is
Everyone's like,
never put
everyone,
down.
like, even the companies are benefiting from that.
Yeah.
Right. All the D2C companies are also in on the game. The marketplaces are in on the game. So it's not even the theoretical maximum. It is, I will launch a company today कि मुझे ये rechargeable battery मुझे, if I want to sell it for 500 rupees for two,
Mm-hmm.
I will from day one price it at 1,000 and 50% off and then call it marketing discount or
Right.
club it as a discount of my marketing expenses or whatnot. Nobody knows.
Awesome.
So yeah, so that GMV thing and gross revenue, net revenue, whatever it is, theoretical maximum, what are they counting? Are they counting 300 is what they charge me for them mostly, and out of that they keep, let's say, 40 rupees.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously not counting 40 rupees as revenue. They're counting, are they counting 300 or that fake MRP that is listed?
I am not sure.
What are they counting as
I'm not
revenue?
sure.
I
They
have
haven't
no
spelled
clue.
it out.
And that
Maybe it's in the glossary. I didn't read the glossary.
in second is I would love to figure out the gig worker revenues. But yeah, like I was saying, for me that's a big question. Again, you can't have it both ways.
Hmm.
We are doing so much job creation. We are the biggest job creators in India. Oh, but these are not jobs. These are not jobs. These are not jobs.
Yeah,
These are
we're
just games.
creating jobs, but these are not employees,
Huh.
which is an
Pick one.
interesting dichotomy to keep in your head.
Pick a lane. Pick a lane. Either you're creating jobs and you're a job creator,
Uh,
और ये freelancers हैं, this is like an upper, they are choosing to do this of their own free volition.
right.
कि everyone has 3 apps loaded on their whatever at the same time,
Hmm.
right? Pick one, which is more of a messaging thing, sure, but practically we all know these are jobs
Yeah,
because they are obviously counting the time that a person spends on. There are penalties for not being online
correct.
for these
Well,
gig
there are
workers.
incentives for sticking with the
Yeah.
platform and penalties for not.
Mm.
I have a movie recommendation. Kapil Sharma, of all people, made a movie about the plight of gig workers called
Mm.
Vigato, which was directed by Nandita Das, which is a very sweet movie.
Mm.
I, I'm still surprised that that happened, but it was a pleasant movie. It it told the story well of that uh, constantly being at the mercy of the phone's notifications.
Yeah.
That part especially, because your livelihood depends on it. Your ability to pay your rent and your child's school fees depends on it.
So
Well
you
done.
can't call these gig workers कि नहीं नहीं ये तो freelancer है, नौकरी कर रहा है एंड इवनिंग में थोड़ा काम कर लेता है साइड पे एज अ सेकंड व्हाटएवर साइड इनकम. इट इज एब्सोल्युटली नॉट दैट.
Yeah.
Whether you call it penalties to not do it or incentives to do it that way, that is where the income is coming from.
Mm.
Even when Dipinder Goyal released that report, he was saying कि हाँ, the average whatever earns like 23, 24, 25,000.
Mhm.
Right. But fine print is for the people who are doing this as a whatever, let's say even more than 40 hours a week.
And
40 hours a week logged into the app तो बहुत ज़्यादा होगा.
that's before expenses.
Before expenses, for sure. That is not counting the fuel, that is not counting whatever,
Yeah.
uniforms or whatever. Right. पता नहीं क्या charge करते हैं.
And even in the minimum wage argument of
Hmm.
hourly itna wage hona chahiye, the app's contention is that we will not count the time that the delivery boy is waiting for an order because they are currently not doing our work. They are standing
That's what I
outside our
don't.
dark.
I as a startup, I do not have that luxury. Yeah, I just hired an intern. Sure, intern salaries are lower than full timers, obviously, right? If I
Mhm.
convert him to full time, I absolutely have to meet minimum wage,
Yeah.
and I will. Right? It is only fair. There is a minimum wage act. I will do that. I have to deal with all official, the actual leave policies, all of them, which is only fair.
Yeah.
Right. I can't say ki intern, he was today working for 4 hours and 4 hours. Nobody gave him any work to do, so I will only pay him for
Pay
4 hours.
for us. That's their argument. And clearly, each of these delivery guys is going to be waiting a lot longer for the order than actually executing the orders.
Yeah.
Right? There are off-peak hours. There are times when there just isn't demand. There will be times when there's too much supply. So it's a very specious argument to say कि नहीं जब वो खड़ा है and he's not actively in the process of doing a delivery, he's not engaged with the platform. Bullshit. His even if he is peeing or eating, उसके एक आँख screen पे ही है. He's waiting for an order. Clearly, you have his entire mental bandwidth every waking moment. And on that note, we should end.
We
However,
should end.
for the poor souls who actually watch our podcasts, you are going to be stuck with my ugly mug because Vinit's video has come. His tech travels continue.
Yet
And
I hope पूरा video चल रहा है.
I,
I hope पूरा हो रहा है because mine is still happily saying कि upload हो रहा है.
okay, ठीक है.
Let's see.
Let's see.
You will find out. Thank you for
I've been
doing all of
saying
the
for more than a year now, you have a face for radio.
face for podcast. My face for podcast.
See you next week.
And thank you all for tuning in. See you next time. Bye bye.